Okay. So I get both. All right, you want to go get it going?
We're waiting on YouTube.
Okay.
Waiting on YouTube to load right now.
Okay.
We're good.
Good, you still there.
Yeah,
We have
okay.
That it?
This one started.
I don't have any either.
Loud.
We're good.
Huh?
Okay, you sure?
Yeah, we can. I don't know how, but I need a password or whatever. Hang on, let me get my phone.
Yeah.
What's going on? No. Yeah, it looks like I've been there. At least my phone will work. Yeah, we're ready. All right, guys, it's 9:30. We're gonna call this 9:33. Actually, we're gonna call this a meeting to order. That's good. Would all stand for invocation.
Heavenly Father, as we are gathered here today, we ask for your grace and blessings over this meeting. We know that you care about our city and our citizens and ask that you continue to unify us with one heart and mind so that we may work together for the good and for the future of our city. And when good people succeed and increase, we are all uplifted. We ask that everything that we do will bring prosperity and progress to our city and our community. Give us a heart of wisdom and produce in all of us creative ideas and solutions to problems so that we may give back what is good and productive to our city. Help our leaders to govern with enlightened hearts so they will make sound, fair, and right decisions that will benefit every citizen. Give our mayor, council, and staff your wisdom so they may solve problems, distinguish between right and wrong, and bring restoration to our city. Bless every one of our citizens. Many are struggling and need our help. Help us to be attentive to their needs and hear their concerns. We ask for your guidance to help our people and to show them that they are loved, respected, and cared for. Father, we thank you, and may your grace and mercy cover us and bless us in everything that we do. Please protect our citizens, our leaders, and enrich our city so that we may all be a blessing to others. Keep us safe, healthy, and protect and guide us as we go about our daily lives. We ask all these things in your holy name. Amen.
We have a flag back there, flag for pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, guys. Kim, you want to start off just kind of about the building and all that, kind of
Yes, sir. Let me get this.
thank Kim and everything.
Let me get this reverb.
Did you get the mics on, speakers off? We're good.
We're okay.
We had some reverb going.
Okay, I thought I heard something. I thought it was somebody's phone.
Can everybody hear me okay? Yep. All right, so the first thing I'd like to do today is I would like to thank the owner of this building. And I would like to thank Cole that he works for the owner. Her name is Kim. Cole works for her. And they did some due diligence to make sure this building is ready for us. She did donate this building to us today to allow us to use it. And the building's not really open for use at the moment. They haven't really been doing anything with it. The idea is maybe venues, receptions, birthday parties, family reunions, whatever. So I just kind of want to throw that out there and say thank you very much. This just tells us that our community can pull together. And we got this building, the free use of this building today. I think that was wonderful. But if anybody that is here knows anyone that would like to maybe use this building, or anybody here that wants to use the building, feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I can make sure to get you in contact with the person that owns the building to get use of it. But I didn't realize, I don't know if anybody did, and I didn't realize that this building was as nice as it is. It's a very nice facility, and I would like to see it start getting used in the future. So at least the person that owns it can pay tax, use that money for paying taxes, the upkeep and the utilities here. So I just wanted to throw that thanks out there. The last thing is there's donuts, coffee, water. Everybody make sure you get some refreshments. We appreciate y'all coming.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. We're gonna try to get through this. I'm hoping it's no more than a couple of hours. If it takes longer, it's fine. If it's shorter, that's fine too. My idea of this, or our idea of this, we did this back in the freeze, which was a horrible time in all of our lives. And we had overwhelming success from everybody. Everybody was real receptive to the recordings and the live video streams that we had. And we committed that we were gonna, do this more often. We failed, I failed. I'll take all the heat for that. We should have been doing these things a lot more frequent than what we're doing now. But I really wanted to have more of a kind of an update of where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going as a city. So I may stray off of this agenda. This is something different than what the city's ever done before. We've always had real formal agendas at City Hall and things like that. And to my knowledge, we've never had a town hall type meeting, and that's what I consider this is like a town hall. So we are going to have some question and answers, which is way different than any other council meeting. We'll take some questions, concerns, comments from the audience. Guys that are there at out in YouTube land, you're more than welcome to text in your. Surely everyone's got my phone number at least, and feel free to text in questions or comments whenever they come up, or make some notes and get a hold of me or one of the council members afterwards. We'd be glad to talk to you and answer some of your questions and concerns. We've got in order here on number 3 for discussion of future short-term and long-term goals. Right now, what we're doing, we're getting ready to get into budget workshop season, which is a lot of fun for us. Trust me, we have to meet 2 or 3 days a week for sometimes a month or 6 weeks, and it's tough to get through, but we'll get through it. Now, I've sat through many of them, just never on this side of the board. So as far as future short and long-term goals, right now we're trying to see where our shortcomings are. The roads, we've still got road work to do. We've got blowing and going on road work there for a while because of a renewed relationship with the county commissioner, which we haven't had in years. We were able to cut our costs by over half, like 75%, 50 to 75%. Yeah. We were paying $800-900 a load for lower rock. Now today we're paying $200 or $300. And the reason for that is because we purposely set out to mend relationships with East Tawakoni, Quinlan, and especially our county commissioner, Philip Martin. He has teamed up with us. He's working with us hand in hand. And that's something he hasn't done in many years. And what he's doing, he allowed us to set up accounts with the people they have accounts with. And we're buying at their cost. And where we're getting the big savings at is the county is delivering everything for free. Now, normally we would pay $400 to $600 a load just for the delivery. So that took our cost up to $800-900 a load versus $200 or $300 a load. So I hope some of you guys saw this going on earlier in the spring when it wasn't raining. I'm getting a lot of rock out there. We've just about hit every road. We've still got some potholes, big potholes, but our goal was to get the rock roads first and get those done because there are gonna be some of them that will end up oil sanding. Right now, county is busy. They got a late start for whatever reason. So before they got started, we took advantage of the opportunity, and how many loads of rock and everything that we got, you know?
Oh,
Yeah,
we're at, I think, 18 loads now.
18, these are 24 yards. The big long trailers with the belly nut on the bottom of them. So we've got a lot of rock, and it's going a long way, but we still got some way to go yet. So we're not there just yet. Long term, we want to get to the point where we're oil sanding these roads. And we're gonna talk a little bit about where some of that money's gonna come from here a little bit. But that's kind of what we want to do there. But really what I want to do right now, I want to explain to everybody where we've come from. I didn't do all this. This is a group effort, that we've had input from citizens, business owners, and the council has we've all done a lot of good things. I want to talk about some of the wasteful spending, and some of this stuff may blow your mind a little bit. And when I get into where we're at now, let me say right now, two things I'm very proud of. One, this is the first time that I know of at this time of the year. We'll call this August. We're in August now, and we have yet to move money from one line item to another in the budget. And this is something that was commonplace for years. Month after month, we'd come up short in one line item on a budget, and we would move money from one item to another. So it was almost impossible to keep up. Does everybody know what a P&L is, a profit and loss statement? Everybody know what that is? Okay. That's what we look at. That's what I look at. Sometimes weekly, mostly monthly, but we all look at that. It was impossible to make sense of a profit and loss statement when you're moving money from one line item to another, because those numbers change so much. So you really couldn't get a good idea of where we were at financially. So for today, I'm really proud that we haven't had to do that yet. It was sheer luck. Well, not luck, but it was a lot of effort we put into it. But when the council set the budget last year, we knew there was going to be mistakes with it, but we didn't expect there would be so few mistakes with the budget. So right now, we're looking really good on our budget. We've got a few line items that are over budget, overtime for public works. That was to be expected, kind of, because last year we did have a mass exodus in our water department. We did get some people in real quick, but what happened was the people that we brought in one licensed operator, but it was a sewer operator, and we didn't have a water operator. So we didn't have a water operator for a while. We were using contract labor, and we were paying $5,000 to $6,000 a month in contract labor. So we went way over budget just within 4 or 5 months of the year, over budget for contract labor. These guys were charging us $50 an hour for each one of them. So that's $100 an hour sometimes when they were both there at the same time. That's a lot of money. So we burned through a lot of money right there, but we're still in the black. We're still in the black in our water sewer fund, and we're still in the black in our general fund. So we're looking real good, and this is the time of the year that we will be moving some money from line item, because we have to zero out. We have to, I don't like the term, there's two terms that I don't like hearing, and the one of them is, we've always done it that way, or we've always done it this way. I hate that. It's very negative, and I don't want to hear it from anybody. And this council knows. They don't come to me, but we've always done it this way. City Hall knows, Public Works knows. They know very well. Don't ever say that to me, because we're not doing it the way we've always done it. That's been the problem. Another problem that we've had, I think, over the years, is we change out council members too often. Guys, the more we change, the more we start over. You can't start this process over every year. And like an individual or not, we're getting the job done, and we're doing it successfully and economically. To talk about some of the wasteful spending that we had specifically in the public works. Recently, we uncovered a pile of motors that go to our lift stations. Lift stations is what moves our sewer from one pump to another to get it to the wastewater treatment plant. That's, your water lines operate much different than your sewer. The sewer has to be manually driven by force to get that sewage where it needs to go, to where we can filtrate it and actually release the water back into the lake. And it's clean. It's almost as clean as your drinking water we're drinking tonight. So they did a real good job there. We had some rock from the other previous public works director. We got from Oklahoma. They were actually buying loads of rock, bringing it in from Oklahoma. Of course, I didn't see or know this was going on. This happened like in the first month or two I was in office, and most of us were new, me and Leon and Robin, we were all new, and Kevin kind of jumped in there, but we were getting some of the rock from Oklahoma, which we put a stop to. Some of the frivolous spending that we've had within the last several years, we've bought 80 cases of hand sanitizer that was expired when we bought it. We bought a floor buffing machine that was used one time. Why we bought these things, I don't know, but just wait till it gets better. We've got a 40-foot gooseneck trailer. I don't know what those things cost anymore. We've only used it one time, and we used it as a stage for an event. We don't have a need for it. It was just useless. We sold a perfectly good dump truck, which is what we need right now. And we bought a dump trailer for twice the price, and it won't dump. You 2 bucket loads on a front end loader of a what do you call it? A backhoe, the front loader of a backhoe. It will only hold 2 dumps, and then the trailer will work. If you fill the trailer up, it won't dump it. So we spent, I think, $18,000 on a brand new dump trailer that doesn't even work. And what's worse is it's so long by the time you hook it to a vehicle, when you're going through some of these neighborhoods that the roads are narrow and everything, you're cutting across somebody's yard. We don't want to do that. We wouldn't want it done to our house. We don't want to do it to anybody else's. We bought a dog catcher truck a couple of years ago. I mean, how useless is that? We got a pallet jack. A pallet jack is a little manual device that you go under a pallet and you pump, kind of like a jack, you jack it up, it lifts it, you move a pallet of goods around. It's never been used. I don't know why we bought it. There's a company that we deal with out of Wisconsin. They are is Tawakoni an engineering firm? Are they an engineering firm?
They're program writers for software that tells your pumps when they come on and turn on.
Okay, so they're more of the mechanics of the water plant. One of the other people from our previous public works, we paid these people, this one guy, like $5,000. We paid their airfare, we paid their hotel bill, we paid $450 per diem, which is their meals and stuff like that, incidental, $450 a day for them to come out and tell us there's really nothing they can help us with. We paid for that. That's the kind of money we were spending. Precision pumps. These are where we buy some of the pumps that go to the lift stations and things like that. We've spent probably $60,000 to do work on some of these lift stations that we could have done ourselves. One of the lift stations is down, the number one lift station is down by the city, sewer treatment plant. We spent $35,000 to have this thing fixed that we should have fixed ourselves for 5,000 maybe, something, maybe 7. And that's not the only one we've done.
It would have been under 10.
It would have been under 10 for sure. I talked about contract labor. We also ordered 6 1-inch meters. I'm talking about water meters for your house, 1-inch meters. They were $1,000 a piece. We don't even use 1-inch meters. We don't have any in town. There's none in town, right? We don't have.
Well, there's 3 now.
Well, there's 3 now. Because we had to, well, we ended up having to use 3 because parts and materials are very hard to come by now. So normally we use a 3/4 inch, right?
For
Yeah, but except for commercial. But for your household, it's a 3/4 inch. So we ordered pumps and motors for almost $20,000. And we didn't need them. They were just mine. I don't like the other phrase that I don't like to hear is use it or lose it. I hate that term in budgeting. It is true, some things, there's only one item that I'll agree with, use it or lose it, and that's road material. Every year, so I started out on y'all's side of the table for 6 or 7 years, and I would get the financials every month, and I'm budgeting my budget, and I'd go to the council meetings, and I would question frivolous spending, bad decisions and things like that. And I did this for years, and I got, pretty good at it, as well as I could be, but that's what ended me up here. I didn't do this because I wanted to. I did it because everybody, they put me up to it. But I'm doing making the best of it I can. We got equipment sitting up, it's been sitting for years, unused, not used or anything like that. We bought a big tent a couple of years ago. The Public Works Department bought a tent 2 or 3 years ago. We used one time and they left it out there at the park for so long during some bad spring storm. It tore it up. It was history. Or in parts we don't need. So basically, I think just by guesstimating, I didn't put a pen to paper, neither is Michael. But we figured somewhere around $100,000 to $150,000 has been spent in the last couple of years on things we just didn't need. It was stupid, frivolous spending, and it was rampant. And today, again, we're still in the black. We don't have any frivolous spending going on. We don't have public works people going to the point and other places in town, sleeping in their trucks after lunch. This was something that I'm open. Y'all know this, but we did have people that literally slept during the middle of the day on the clock doing nothing. That's what we had. That's where we're coming from. So there was a lot of that. We've done a lot of that. I've tasked Kevin down here on the end. He's in the service industry. It's much different than what we're at here, but he's mechanically inclined and he knows how to squeeze a dime and get the most out of it. And he's done a fantastic job overseeing the public works. Michael has done a great job in coming in during the snow bid. December 29th, we hired a water operator. February 14th, I think, is where the snow bid started. February the 16th, this guy was ready to quit. This snow bid was so damaging that this young guy, he didn't know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. He was overwhelmed. We had this freeze going on. He didn't know what to do. It was just overwhelming to me. He'd been doing it for 6 weeks, but he was a licensed operator, but we almost lost him. We brought in Michael. It was it was a very subjective move that we did. We got a lot of kickback from it, but I'll tell you what, I'd make that decision again in a minute. He's made a hell of an impact on the public works people. He's learning and he knows how to utilize people to the best of their abilities, so that we're not all at one job site. I know over the years you've seen going pass by a small job site and see 5, 6, 7 people standing around while one person does work. Who has not seen that? Everybody's seen that, right? It's a perception problem. Now you do need, if somebody's in a hole, you need a couple of people standing up. But we deal a lot with perception issues, and that's what we try to avoid. That's why Kevin tries to instill in Michael is we don't want the perception to look like we're just all standing around doing nothing. So if you ever see somebody working, get a man in a hole, there's probably going to be 2 outside of that hole for safety reasons. So don't think that we're just killing money, wasting money, working on a project with 2 people standing outside. So we try to minimize that. If it's a major problem, maybe major leak or sewer leak, then there may be 3 or 4 people there, because sometimes it takes 3 or 4 to fix a problem. But the problems that were really rampant in the past, we don't have those anymore. So Michael's done a great job. Kevin, I applaud him for doing that. Kevin has a full-time job, a regular full-time job. He's able to put in a lot of time down here. He gets in the hole too. Just go around Facebook. He gets in the hole working waist deep in water, sewer, whatever it is. He gets right in there. We're all coming out.
I think I'm talking wrong.
Folks that don't know John Alderson is our new police chief. He comes to us from East Tawakoni. He started his career here in West Tawakoni at the academy 30 years ago. And he's made his rounds to a few different agencies, but he's wound up here. He's got a lot of great ideas, and I just want to acknowledge John. So anyway, getting back to the spending and things going on in public works. Right now, I would say overall, and anybody, you city workers that are here today, I think I don't see a couple. I believe our morale is high. And everything's working. It's like a well-oiled machine. The workers are happy. They're paid fairly, and they like who they work with and who they work for. And I've never seen in the 7, 8 years I've been here. I've never seen the morale this high. So everybody's eager to work, eager to learn, and they come to work every day. And they give it their all. So I appreciate all the city workers, both in the office and the public works department. Some of the things that we all addressed during the forum last year, what we wanted to do or what we wanted to see as we were campaigning, we wanted to listen to the public. I know I did. That's how I got this position, about the public calling me, because I've given out my phone number for years. Anybody can call me anytime, day or night, weekend, it didn't matter. I would do the best I could to handle the situation. But one of the problems was that people were taking their lunchtime from work, coming down to City Hall to pay a water bill or whatever. They were coming in and we were closed. So we're not closed for lunch anymore. We still have a little bit of a problem sometimes getting through to the phones. I know I do, and we all do, but we want to fix that moving forward. Again, we've reestablished the relationships between East Tawakoni, Quinlan, and our county commissioner. We are planning on, we still plan, I'm going to come back to this too. We're sewer plants set up for local septic companies to dump there. That's a lot of revenue that we're missing right now. But the reason that we can't do it, we haven't been able to do it yet, is because this has been a rainy spring for us, really unusual for us to have rain. I think we even had some rain in July, which was strange for us. But we have a lagoon that out at the water treatment plant, and we can't make it bigger. All we can do is make it deeper. We need to make some adjustments before we start allowing septic people to come in and up. We're treating 140,000 gallons a day now, but we're treating 140,000 gallons a day, and we're permitted for 300,000 gallons. So we're way under what we can do there. So we want to fill that gap with these septic companies that are driving all the way to Greenville, Canton, Leonard, places like that to dump their septic and us treat it. And we make a nice little hefty profit from it. There's really no overhead. It's just almost, there's no overhead, right? It's just all profit. So we're trying to let it dry out a little bit. This lagoon is something that's where the solids get eaten up by bacteria, right?
It's a little more than that, but basically we would need to send all the septic water to the lagoon, so we can add bugs and things to make it great.
Yeah, so it would basically go away naturally through the ecosystem. Anyway, we've got a lot of people watching the budget. If you're one of those budget people like I am, I love budgets. I've been working with them for years. We've got this whole council is familiar with looking at budgets and P&Ls. They're easy to read now, so we're really just trying to stay on top of spending. We've scaled back on purchases. I guess if y'all were watching last year, I guess August, September timeframe, it came up to where the police and the public works were wanting to buy new vehicles. The police department wanted to sell the 2 Tahoes and another car they had plus some other equipment. We did sell 1 Tahoe that, and after the fact, I'm finding out now that Tahoe was in good shape. We didn't have any reason. The other Tahoe we didn't sell, and the public works department bought it for them to be running around in, for the public works supervisor. Director, now he uses it every day. We've spent a few $100s, maybe, that's it. And I mean, it's nothing. So what's happened is the police department came to us and wanted to do this big automobile deal, get rid of a bunch of stuff they had, which was 2 good Tahoes, and buy a pickup. And it wasn't cheap. And they wanted to also buy a city truck too. A public works truck. And so we didn't do that. We stopped that and put a halt to that spending of that vehicle, as well as the computers. I don't know if any of y'all remember that the police department came before the council. I think it was after the budget was set, but we need new computers. These are 10 or 12 years old. We've only got 1 working. And John, whenever he came over, he had them reworked. He had them put for an IT guy. They reworked the computers, they reloaded software, and now they're all 3 up and running today. Where's John? They all 3 still working, right? Or 2? Okay. So there was no reason for us to spend $20,000 on computers in. So what I'm trying to do is outline some of the stuff that we've wanted or tried to spend money on, and this council has a better handle on it now. Another thing, we bought 2 AR-15s a couple of years ago. They were custom built. They weren't just bought off the shelf. 2 custom built. So I'm guessing probably no more than 1,000 apiece, maybe 600, 800. I don't know. But why do we need 2 AR-15s in the city of Washington? I mean, we don't need that. It's just stupid spending. What it was. But anyway, we've also cut back and stopped about 9 vehicles that went home every night. We had 9 vehicles that went home. No one lived around here. The furthest away was Quitman, which Quitman I think is probably about a 40-minute drive, 45 maybe. So we had city vehicles that we were allowed to go home, 9 of them, I think, every night. So,
We were paying the gas.
we were paying the gas for it, we were paying the maintenance. And now, I'll use the police, fuel budget, for instance. I haven't checked it lately, but we had budgeted about $17,000 for a year's worth of gas. And just a few months ago, we don't use maybe a third or a quarter of it. And what that's done is cut down on the maintenance. Our public works trucks, vehicles, we've only put them in the shop 2, maybe 3 times. But I bet total, we've not spent over $1,000, $2,000. And we haven't spent very much money at all on maintenance. So our maintenance has gone down, our fuel costs has gone down. And that's what's attributed to us being in the black in the public works. The spending, as well as the maintenance and fuel and things like that. Now we've got 3 vehicles that go on every night. The chief takes a vehicle home, and then the public works director and the plant operator, what's he called? Chief operator. He's over the water plant and the sewer plant. He maintains those and makes sure those are running fine. This is the young guy that started, we almost lost until we brought Michael back. Again, that was a very unpopular decision that was made, but I'd make it again tomorrow because of where we're at today. We've eliminated all the comp time. That was a big, huge problem. We eliminated comp time. And that's helped out a lot. We're working with developers, investors. I'm gonna talk about that here a little bit when I get to the future part of it. We've got, and the new construction that's going on.
Yeah, and then we can go back to the next one.
What's that?
Hear from the citizens and before we move to the next line.
That's good. Anybody got any questions or comments or concerns? You wanna? Huh? Anybody? Bill, Chris? There you go.
Man, I had a bunch of them, you talked to a bunch, I forgot it.
You got a lot of,
thing here.
you got a lot of them, Bill.
I know, I did.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, you got
I kind of talked to you about it. On the new park road, and goes around, we got.
Yeah.
The section when you first come in, and you're supposed to turn left, no one really ever does. I think that it would maybe cost $5,000 to do it, but I think it would possibly be a good idea to the section that goes straight from there to the ramp entrance or to the point entrance, to widen that to where, and make that section where it's 2-way. Because one, it saves us money in the long run by having guys, if they actually follow the road, pull their boats all the way around the deal there. Have to swing that turn in there, it'll be tearing the road up, eventually go around there. And then if you just make that one section where it's 2-way, there's like 30 feet I measured between where the edge of the road is now and the pavilion and the memorial section there. And if you widen that a little bit, to where 2-way can go there, then make the rest of it 1-way. Or we could just start from the right.
Well, the deal with that is, wherever they put that in there, they suggested 1-way because doing 2 ways, messes up the road quicker. With 1-way, if you're going 1-way with it all the time, it's less wear on the road. Whereas you go both ways, the road won't last as long.
Well, not just that, you're gonna have happen. Yeah, not just that, it's not wide going both.
Well, yeah, it's not wide enough.
Yeah.
There's the other thing too.
If you have going both ways too, what's gonna happen when another car's coming this way and you're coming this way? One of you's gonna have to go over and drive off the road and let the other pass.
Yeah.
Or both of you let pass. When you do that, you don't really want to drive on the edges, especially in bigger trucks and stuff. The edges, if you cut over, you run by on that, because it's gonna start, you're gonna have a higher likelihood of breaking the road on the edge.
Yeah.
That's when you know what to do.
Good way.
Okay,
I
so
forgot about you. But
in order to get to that point,
if you're going around that way, you're gonna have to make a turn to the left and go back. Whereas if you just take the road and turn it the other way around, you just drive right in.
Well, then when you come out, you have to do the same thing,
Yeah, but listen,
but it's easier to turn right.
yes.
I
And
agree with you.
the thing about it is, when you're running those boats and stuff all the way around, you gotta remember, maybe not every day, especially during the summer. You got kids out there playing. Now you got boats, trucks, cars, everything going down that way.
But
I'd just like to point out that another reason that it's, you're supposed to turn left when you go into the park is because if you're pulling a travel trailer and you're going to park at one of the, camping spots, you have to go that direction so you can back your campers. If you turn right and go around, you can't do that. So that's also a reason that it's a left, and a one way. Just want to point that part out.
yeah, that's a good point, good point, Stacy. But,
Well, what I was gonna say, as far as the Point Road itself, we've got a lot of overgrowth. And one of the things that I'm planning to do is trim all that back and widen it a little bit more, because the road used to be a little bit wider.
yeah, he's
But we've had so much overgrowth and it wasn't maintained for a little bit, I need to go clear all that out so I can widen it up.
anybody else?
One thing I would say this, the signage up there is also a little bit confusing, which could be part of the reason why people go there, because one, you have the sign that says, one way going to the left, but then there's also a sign there that says, I don't know if it's like, the trailer staying over here, but then it
This
says.
is bogus to the right. Yeah, that sign probably needs to come down. That's a good point. Anybody else got any question or comment?
Not about that.
If you got one, please, guys, bring it up.
I do. All right, so I work for the county cat,
Yeah,
and, for the last 2 years, we went up, on property values. And that was all done because of the state taxes. I can get into that, but it's long and boring. But anyway, we basically have to go up to meet everybody else's level. So that means our property taxes here went up almost double. And some of them tripled, seriously. And we had a whole bunch of people from here come down there and, buy that. Well, if our property taxes went up half or double, then you're making twice the amount of money on our taxes now. So if you went down half, you would make exactly what you made last year. So I want y'all to keep that in mind whenever you go through the tax. If you took this property taxes to half, you will make exactly what you made last year. So if you take it down to just a quarter, you will make a quarter more than you made last year.
well, we're not gonna be able to, state law prevents a city from realizing extra percent over what you got last year. You can't like say this year, have $1 million of tax revenue come into your city, and in the next year, because of property values, you get $2 million. You can't do that. You have to adjust your tax rate, back.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That can only go up 10% a year.
Yeah, I think it's 8.
Right.
Yeah, so there's a lot to that. We was talking about the short, long-term goal. I'm not gonna get into a whole lot of it, because I don't like, you were talking to investors, I don't like taking too much to heart with it, but we've got a bunch of investors looking right now. Anybody know what an opportunity zone is? Here? Everybody know what that is? I'll explain it to you. When Trump was president, whenever they were doing the tax overhaul or whatever, the capital gains tax, which capital gains tax are profits realized from the sale of real estate, stocks, bonds, commodities, gold, silver, or whatever. Those are capped. That money you make on that is called capital gains. And the tax rates were, I think, 5, 10, and 20%. the millionaires that are making all the money, they were taxed at the 20%. That's, our poor boys, taxed at 5%. But anyway, what they did, they come up with opportunity zones, and these were areas throughout the country. They're all over the state of Texas and other parts of the country. There were areas that I don't know if they were designed for impoverished areas, but areas that had potential that they wanted to see growth in. And so if you invest in these opportunity zones, it lessens your tax burden on your capital gain. And those who have stocks today that you've sold them or whatever, you really know what I'm talking about capital gains. And if you invest money in, so right now we've got investors that are all over this. There's many places around Texas that are opportunity zones. We're getting hit hard and heavy because we have a lake, and lake sells real estate. Lake is a good investment, and that's what they're coming down for. They're looking at our area, they're looking at our city, and different opportunities. They want to come in and invest in our city. They get a tax break, plus they make, big money. This is all moving this way. The rock wall is built, they're busting at the seams. That's the smallest county in Texas, and they're almost overbuilt. A lot of people are real, about the cloisters, $2,300 a month or something like that. And people have, said that's absolute crazy. They'll never work down here. People need to know that these people didn't build the cloisters for us, for us to live in. Yeah. They built them for the growth that's coming this way. So I want people to get away from that mindset that, $2,300, none of us, nobody in town can afford that. Well, that's probably right. It may be true, but they didn't build them, and they're not going to build this stuff for the people that are already here. It's for the people that's going to grow into this area. People that want to live around a lake and go to Rockwall and see the prices. And if you can even buy a house in Rockwall, if you put a house on the market in Rockwall, it's got 3 contracts by the end of the day, it's sold. You have to really be on the game to do it. So the idea is to move east of Rockwall and Dallas, and we've got a great opportunity. This city's on a peninsula, and so it really makes it real lucrative for an investor to come in and buy some land and develop it. So we've got a lot of investors. We met with some yesterday. We had a room full of them. The whole council chamber room was full about 3 or 4 weeks ago with, there were so many investors, it wasn't funny. So they're looking at spending some money in this town, but we've got to take it slow and easy and make sure that we don't have another cloisters. The cloisters is going to get there. They came in hard and heavy. They lost their financing. I think they ended up in bankruptcy. Someone recently, in the last 6 to 8 months, came in and bought it out of bankruptcy, and now they're going to move forward again with it. It will go. That will develop even further, whether we're ready for it or not. It's going to grow. Guys, if you got any questions, please raise your hand or whatever while I'm talking. But what I'd like to do is kind of like, at this point, I kind of like to turn it over to, and just start at the first at place number 1, Kevin, and see if he's got anything he wants to add or take away from what we've already talked about. Listen.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you get off that.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what's going on with the old Scotties. The old Scotties, they're hard working on it. Their date has moved just exponentially. It just keeps moving. It's supposed to, last thing that I was told by the guy that owns that is they were gonna open by April. Obviously, we didn't make April. What I'll say is what I do know about the guy is he has several Circle Ks that he is doing. And he concentrates most of his effort on one until it gets open. And then when he has time with some of his trades, he does move them to this one, right? So that explains it, well enough term, but that's kind of what he does. So he sort of operates by just a really tight budget, you know, almost a cash type thing, is what I'm kind of getting, okay? So that's the best thing I can tell you at the moment.
So, add to that, it's kind of like the coastals. He's doing that with the side stuff coming our way. So he's moving slowly and taking care of some of these other bigger projects first. But again, he knows what's coming our way with some of the other investment groups, and that's what that whole project has been designed around.
And what all is going into that building complex?
So you have the gas station. Inside the gas station will be a taco casa of some type that has this fast food in there. There is a liquor store, and then they are talking about a hair salon in one of the other areas. And then there was also talk, they have not confirmed or signed any contracts, of a small restaurant in one of them. The only ones that have signed are the Circle K itself, the gas station, and the liquor store. The other ones have not signed contracts as of last Thursday.
So there's 4 or 5 actual separate divided businesses.
Looking at 4 separate businesses inside that facility.
And we're anxious for it to get going. I know everybody is itching for that to get going. We've been waiting on this for years, and hoping they would sell it, but it looks like it's coming to a reality. It just can't come quick enough.
Before I retired, I worked quite a bit with Atmos Centers.
Yeah.
And that was always, I've lived down here, I was going on 10 years, other parts of the lake, longer than that. I've heard, and y'all may have addressed it, probably have, that one of the things that was slowing growth down here was the inability to get natural gas. And in order for that to happen, they've got to run a pipeline from Quinlan to West Tawakoni. And I just wondered if that had come up, if y'all had any talks with Atlas or anything like that.
I actually, during the course of back in 2014, whenever I was trying to sell my parents' house in Rockwall, I had an issue with the gas lines there, and I dealt with the engineers and all that make everything happen for Atlas. And the way it was explained to me is that this would be a dead end. If they were to build, if they were to get gas down here, it would dead end because of the lake. And the chances of them, this is just from an engineer, it's not from any executive or anything like that. But the chances of them building a gas line down here is pretty nil to none. One, you could get it down, if it got down to it would only be along 276, because there's no way you could get it to the neighborhoods. You'd have to redo the whole town, but it just wouldn't be cost effective for them. It would cost millions of dollars to get it down here. And only for, a handful of customers. And like I said, it'd be a dead end, because they wouldn't be able to go through or under or over the lake or whatever, but that's kind of the way he kind of explained it to me. But it is a big problem. But there's a lot of successful restaurants and stuff, in other cities that they use propane. I mean, it has kept some of the big chains. I heard Waffle House come out here years ago, but they wouldn't do it without natural gas. And it might be holding us back a little bit when it comes to restaurants, but to any other business, I don't think it's going to prevent. I don't think it's going to prevent growth.
I know some of the areas I used to travel, they didn't have access to the pipeline, gas pipeline. They bring in these LNG stations.
Yeah.
And, and it's about the same thing. Except, they just came in and put it in those tanks.
Yeah.
Just another thought.
They didn't mention that when I was talking to them.
Yeah.
But I was mainly talking to him about something, from the house I was trying to sell. So it was really about that. It was kind of touching on what we had down here. It made sense after I explained it, why it would be a dead end.
I've been here over 35 years, and they talk about this almost every year.
Yeah.
And it was $1 million to get it down here. And now it's 3, it was just a couple of years ago, they talked about it coming from Plymouth. But you have to go all the way down here, turn around, and go all the way back to Plymouth.
You gotta make a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to make a loop.
Well, with the fuel.
Yeah.
And so,
Good
no
point, good
pun
point.
intended, but it's kind of a cotton.
Oh,
At the end of the day, if this city ever gets enough growth, right, whether it be hotel comes in, money talks and everything else won't. That's the old saying. Okay, so if this city was to get enough growth that would warrant gas getting here, it'll be here.
yeah.
But I think we all need to be realistic and understand that we'll never have gas at our homes. The infrastructure of our city, it would be so expensive for us to get gas lines ran to every home in this city, just because of all the other infrastructure you have to cross, right? I mean, it would, the bores and the this and that would be so expensive that we can't even all fathom that amount of money. But if somebody had the money and they wanted to come into our city with a hotel or restaurants or whatever, they're gonna bring their own gas with them.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. The thing is, we have to do in our city is we have to have open arms, we have to be willing, and when somebody comes in, we have to talk to them. That's what we haven't done in the past. And I can promise you that's what we're doing now, right? We're having conversations, we're listening to what people have to say, we're trying to answer the questions that they have. And if we can't answer the question, we try to go get the answer, right? Just for an example, we were asked some questions by our investors. We didn't have the answers because they were SRA questions. We set our meeting with SRA and we all hold our butts to SRA, right? Not that day. We set it up for a day. We met the investors at SRA, the mayor, several of us other people from the city. We met them there. We had a conversation. I think they got their answers. They're still, and they're looking at what they're wanting to do. But back to the topics of everything, as far as what the mayor was passing this on, I think, to each council member. The one thing that I want to be the most proud of for this council right now today is controlling our monies. Right? Whenever I, as a council member, first came in and started looking at the P&L and all that, I'm very good with P&L, I'm very good with budgets. I got one month, the next month, my head blew off my shoulders. I'm like, what, wait, let me go back. I went back and looked at the last one, I looked at this one, I'm like, threw them in the trash because that's what they were. I can tell you right now, faithfully, and I'm very successful in business, that that's not happening today. And I'm telling you that puts us on the road, out of the ditch, on the way to success. But it's going to be citizens' choice to keep it going that way. If we keep saying, put up a stop sign, pull over, get out, and put more in, then we'll see what we get. And they take off, they may run in the ditch, they may stay straight. But we're gonna roll that dice and see. That's all I got.
Well, that's a good point. It really is a good point. And again, I can't overemphasize the fact that part of the city's problem, and I won't spend 5 minutes on this. My background after my military career has been in trucking, in transportation, which is a very high revenue, but a very low profit margin industry. And my job that I did for them was I moved around from state to state, company to company, to fix failing trucking companies. And that's what I did. I'm real successful with it, with budgets and everything else. So I'm familiar with rebuilding. And what he's speaking of, he's absolutely right. What's happened in the past in the city, there is one person or two or three or whatever that somebody or the majority doesn't like, and they just keep changing the council, and you keep changing the course. So instead of we're going straight down the road, and we are doing very well financially. If we keep changing people, we're going to get a different result every time. We need to stay on the same path. It's crucial. If anybody has any aspirations of getting on council, and I invite everybody to, I'd love for everybody to have that desire, but I would suggest spending a year going to every city council meeting you have, because it takes a long time to learn this stuff. You don't just You don't just get put on the council and get a shot in the arm, and you all of a sudden you got all the knowledge there is to know, to be on the council. There's a lot to learn, and it takes a new council member about a year to really figure out what's going on. So, they, well, I'm not talking about anybody, I'm not pitching any names or anything, so, but that's all I would say about that.
I'm surprised you didn't say that.
Leon, you got anything?
Y'all basically covered just about everything I could think of. Without repeating what y'all already said, so.
I'm good.
Him?
So not everyone knows me, because I am new to the area. And I have, whenever I decided to do this, I really had to think about it hard. And one of the things that I realized was that when I did the census for this area, I really grew to love the people that are out here. So that was one of the things that made me want to be on the council. I had worked, before coming here, I worked in Arkansas in the University Medical System for the telemedicine there. And it's a statewide program, and our budget was higher than what the budget is for the city. So I've been dealing with budgets for a long, long time. And I'm just like them, I've looked at the line items and I've been very pleased to see that we are staying on track and that we are keeping our line items on the line items. The biggest thing that I have learned from being on council is that every member on this board has a heart for the people of the city. They don't just think of the monies, they don't just think of the what would be good for a certain group of people. They are looking at all the citizens and they're trying to do their best for all the citizens. This group has a real heart for the city. They want to see us grow. They want to see us be able to have our dreams met. And they want the people that have been here a long time to be comfortable in their city and to know that we are doing the best that we can for the city. So as I prayed about doing this, I got a positive answer from my Heavenly Father to do it. And I had a testimony that this council is trying to do the best they can for you as a group and as members of the city. And so therefore I want to stay on this board because I want to see that happen. And I hope that you see that. I hope that you see that we're working hard to try to be careful with your money. We're working hard to try to get the best things for the city accomplished. And we're trying our best to do it for you.
I know a lot of you know me because I'm very active and involved in other organizations, nonprofits, what have you, around, not just in West Walkeny, but around our surrounding communities. And so with that in mind, the thing that I see in our city is that every one of us, because all of you are here, that shows me that you are going to remain strong in building our city. And that you want to build a relationship, a better relationship with our communities. And that's important because that's how we network, that's how we connect. We find resources from other cities that way too. So I want to make sure that we keep building on that and that we keep listening to your ideas and your suggestions. You're the ones that put us here. And therefore we are the stewards of your money, not only your money, but of your wishes and your dreams and your thoughts and your suggestions. And we listen. We do. We don't just hear what you say. We listen to what you say. And we will continue to do that. And I would also love to encourage everyone here and who is listening in to volunteer to help. We are very limited in our resources and in our manpower. So we depend on you to help us with your volunteer efforts. And it doesn't matter if you give us 10 minutes,
or 10 weeks of your efforts, every minute of it counts, and we do appreciate it all. And something else I wanna say, and this is just my personal thoughts, is I want us to stop dwelling on the past and start focusing on the future with a more positive attitude. Instead of dwelling on what we've been for decades, I want us to continue to look towards the future and realize what a great city we are now and how much better we can be.
That's a good point, Robin. You know, I was just telling somebody last time, it's okay to look at the past, it's okay to go back to the past, and look at something, but don't stay there. Move on, move forward. Go back in the past, remember the lesson you learned and move forward. But that, to me, it's kind of critical. So you're hitting right on. Chris, you got anything down there?
I think most of you know me, I came in here just trying to figure out a way to help the city. I spend a lot of time volunteering with several different things in the city and always have. Taking a note out for hers, it takes an army. We're just a vote up here. We try to do what you guys need, what's gonna make this city grow, what's gonna help every single one of us. It takes an army. We gotta work together. Taking a note out for Jim, I truly believe it. We can't dwell on the past. We've got to move forward with the future. Those are some of the biggest things I have to say, guys. There's nothing we can't do if we work together.
I say that brings up another one, another thing that's always, just things that's always stuck in my head about business, everything. Each of us can make a change, but together we can all make a difference. And that's very true, whether it be on this side of the table or the other side of the table, a group of people can do a whole lot more than one. So keep that in mind.
Still out there.
No, there's like 3 or 4 things that just stuck in my mind for years. And I think I did put it out there on the internet one time. But does anybody else have any questions or comments, wishes, dreams, or anything? Yes, sir.
I'm Dan Rich, I live in Delaware.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to you, but I haven't.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, we talked a lot.
One of the things that we last communicated about was the city council, the upcoming election. I said, I don't even know who's up for the election. Well, I asked my neighbors, we don't even know who's on the city council. Where do we go to look? No website. The website doesn't know about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess for we didn't really do this at the beginning, and I guess for those that are here that don't know, and for those that are on YouTube that don't know, place 1 is Kevin Featherston, which is our mayor pro tem. Place 2 is Leon Myers, me, Jim Ferguson, being the mayor. Place 3 is Pam Reed. Place 4 is Robin Meyer, and place 5 is Chris Burkett. This year, man, the places that are up for election this year is place 1, Kevin Featherston, place 3, Pam Reed, and place 5, Chris Burkett. That's who they are. Is anybody here not have my phone number? You can call me anytime, day, night, weekend, or whatever. I want everybody. And I've been putting this out for years. Is there anybody that doesn't have it that needs it or wants it?
Say it out now. 972-979-6772. You can call me, text me. If I'm on another line, I'll send you another message back, and I'll call you back in a little bit. But I'll call you back. I'm not much for voicemails. I'll call you back before I go listen to your voicemail.
That's why the payment officers already wrote that anymore.
Hey, I've been giving it out for a long time.
Mayor, real quick, Dan, I'd like to say something to your question. I appreciate your question, but what I would like to know is, how how do you, or how has the people in the community, because there are others that talked about it, how could we better serve the community to get that out there? How would it be better to get it to you guys?
Well, the West Tawakoni website used to list the council, the mayor.
Yeah.
The city manager, the city secretary, who's charged for paying the water bill to, it's not out there.
Yeah, and
Why?
And you're 100% correct. We have had, really no nice way to put it, but we've had less than desirable results out of our website, okay? And it's something that the council, we've talked about fixing, changing, finding a new something, but obviously that can't be our first priority list whenever we've got to make sure that operations or whatever, and I'll be honest with you, this council, we have been more focused on operations and dollars, because that's where this city was struggling the most, right? And to be honest, there's no business, and this city is a business, like it or not, it's a business. There's no business that's successful with bad operations and bad money management. And those are two things that this council, we focused on, and we've got that under a pretty good handle. And then now, and we've looked at some of the little intricacies of things, the other things that go on and fixed some of those, done some things, but the website is not. The Facebook, we had Facebook conversations, we just never made a complete decision on how we want to do that. And that's because I know the mayor, I know Chris, I don't remember if Robin has spoken to anybody. We're trying to ask other people, how do y'all do this? Why reinvent the wheel, right? Why reinvent the wheel? Ask other people. Hey, how bad has this been for you? What did you do to not make it so bad? Let's learn from other people's mistakes. And we haven't gathered the data from other people to figure out how they have effectively done a Facebook page, and it wasn't some sort of an issue. The caveat to that is personnel, right? Personnel to man that Facebook page. This city has went through a great deal of turnover within the past 3 years, all across the board. So you got to put that into effect to where if we're going to have a Facebook page, can we effectively manage it?
Yes.
Right. And so that's why we've not decided to do that. And I think Bill said he would take care of it.
In this city, you got two people right here that's been doing that crap forever, and they've never been asked one time by the city to help. Not one time. Maybe.
And that's actually incorrect. At one point, Alan.
I said first.
Alan wanted me to be on a technology committee or something.
Oh, yeah, I was wrong.
But I'll be honest with you, when we're in motion and we're in gear, we're trying to do things, we sometimes forget our resources. It's easy to forget what your resources are. It really is.
Everybody in this town is a resource.
Everybody in this town is a resource. And I want to bring up something that kind of, what he did, what he said. We've been rebuilding and reworking the way the city hall works for quite some time now. And we've made a lot of changes. There's been a lot of change. But I've seen a couple of posts on Facebook that says, what changed? I haven't seen any change. Well, when you go in to rebuild a company or a business, or you go in to remodel your home, you gotta rebuild your home. It's had major flooding or whatever, and you gotta redo the house. The first thing you do is not paint the house. You don't paint the house first. You go inside the house and you rebuild walls. You fix the foundation of the house, and you work on those things. The painting, the pretty stuff that you don't see happens last. So there are people out there that are not seeing the changes, and the changes that we've made are not visible unless you get a copy of the budget once a month and look at it, or a copy. Really, all you need is a copy of the email. If you want to get one, you're more than welcome to it. All you need is just ask for it. Come up and just ask for a copy of it, and we'll get you one. But I want to make sure I drive that home that there's a lot of changes happening that you're not going to, about the only thing you probably have seen, correct me if I'm wrong, some roads. We've brought a lot of roads. And other than that, you may not have seen any changes. Am I wrong, or have y'all seen something that I'm not catching? Anybody? The roads, yeah. And I know we just talked about your neighborhood the other day. If we, once we can start getting some oil sand, we'll be down here not forgotten.
Yeah, I'll talk to you offline, because we actually just spent $7,000 with patching, but we need some overlay and some other stuff.
Yeah, we're working on getting it. It's just, and we're at the mercy of the county right now, because now they're blowing and going, and now we're going to get it. We haven't been able to get it in weeks.
We sort of picked up where you guys left off, so you guys.
Yeah.
Just have to rock and then we went to some other stuff.
Yeah, and we're gonna hit those with some oil sand as soon as we can, but we gotta start getting it in, that's the big part. So you're not forgotten. Yeah, I've still got you back in my mind. I know it's been months since we talked, but you are not forgotten.
Well, I am gonna ask this is come up because Robin said in her comments, and I didn't even know that we could volunteer. So do you have a top priority list and what do you
And
guys
what I mean by volunteers, if you see something in your neighborhood that needs to be corrected, as long as you're not encroaching on someone's property, you know, not going on there without their permission or whatever. Most people just do it. I know my husband and I, Mr. Myers, Councilman Myers, we mow the ditches all up and down 2-3 blocks of our street. You know, we go out, we trim limbs, we do all sorts of things that people don't see, but you can still do those kind of things. I know code enforcement right now is an issue, and we are working on that very diligently to try to rectify that. So things like that, that's what I'm talking about, community involvement, volunteering.
3 years ago, my wife and I, we spent a lot of time at the park and things like that. We saw the picnic tables were kind of, getting run down. Me and my wife, just us, we came to council one night and we started a challenge. We told them, we're gonna buy a picnic table for the park. I challenge everybody in this room to buy one too. And we raised enough money to get 16 or 18 brand new picnic tables. We didn't, nobody asked us to do that. It was just something that we just thought let's just try it. And we got our city attorney to donate. We got almost all the city council people that were in there. And we had, like I say, 16 or 18 brand new picnic tables put in the park. And they're still in pretty good shape, really. We put those underneath the pavilions, so they're not right there in the weather. So it's things like that. There's not anything specific. I mean, if you go to the park on a regular basis, you guys may not, because you've kind of got your own little nest down there. But I don't encourage anybody that goes to the park. If you see a piece of trash, pick it up. Anybody can pick up a piece of trash. One piece of trash, but there's all kinds of things to do.
And another thing too is we have a farmer's market maybe right now that we could use some help on. And it meets the third Tuesday of the month at City Hall. We could use some help there.
I believe all the committees are needing additional personnel. East West Welcome Beautiful, the EDC. There's such a short planning and zoning, there's such a shortfall on volunteers. Every one of the city committees could use additional personnel.
I think the easiest way to answer our question is, as far as the question was, how do we know what's needed for volunteers? I'm gonna tell you, the easiest way to figure that out is to be at council meetings and hear what's going on at some of these council meetings. Either that or watch them, but I'm gonna say, sometimes there's problems with, I think we've had it to stop before.
Yeah,
So I would say if you don't have to depend on the YouTube land, just show up and listen to what's going on. And maybe if you've had a thought, or you've seen something in the city, put your name down so you could ask the question at the council meeting and get that sparked that way, because you may ask a question or not to single you out, but there could be a question get asked that sparks another person either on YouTube or whatever, it brings them up and gets somebody else involved, then we have a chain reaction. And then this community starts even growing more together.
Yeah.
So I would say that would be, if I were looking to figure out where can I volunteer, and I'm telling you that because that's kind of what I did, and it seemed to work. Now I'm working on tractors and getting in holes, whatever it is. But I would start there. I would show up to the council meetings, listen to what's going on, see what we're talking about and see what we're not talking about, because then you can also make suggestions, you know, to the council.
What are you gonna say to that? I don't know if you've ever met or not, but
Yeah.
Kathy Mason's right down
Okay.
there. They're always volunteers.
Yes.
Jim Bennett's great. He had something.
Yeah, when is, the time to sign up for election meeting?
The end date, I'm not sure.
And it's in August.
Didn't bring my calendar.
Yeah. Chris, did you got something you wanted
I
to?
just wanted to back up.
It's probably in the same subject from, you know,
Just a little bit back. Dan,
yeah.
your question that you asked, you was talking about the website. So every month, the mayor sends us an email and asking us what we think we need to see on the agenda. I can tell you right now, my email has been typed up. The website is something I want to see addressed, to get the information out. So we're all on the same page. We know we need to get the information out, and we've started looking at how we can address that.
When you Google West Swan, you get all sorts of different things, there's 3 or 4 or maybe 5. Facebook, West Swan,
Oh,
none of them are official.
no.
It's hard to figure out where to look and see, and the city does have a website, but it doesn't cost it.
Yeah, our website is,
You
in my opinion, broken.
you also have a Facebook site.
No, we
It's
don't.
official that's shut down right now.
Yeah.
That could be turned back on and made to where that nobody could respond to it. It's just a way for you to get information out. I don't
And
know
that's
why-
kind of what I thought. I know before I came in, there was a lot of discussion about that. Heavy, sometimes heated discussion about that Facebook page. And my idea, and I don't know if it worked or not, would be just, information only, posting but no comments, because as soon as you turn the comments on, you go to those 4, 5, 6 different, Dan knows what I'm talking about. And I'm sure most of you do, but most of it's not worth looking at. It's so negative, you know, and I don't know. We've had some,
I would move on from that.
yeah, I'm not even gonna say that, but that's, it's not worth it. That-
I've been to a lot of EDC training, and most of the discussion that came up on that topic is that most cities are website driven. They do have Facebook pages, some of them, but most of them are website driven. I don't know why, they just seem to work better for the cities, but that was just the comments that I heard. So,
Well, I think you take both. If you're talking about social media,
yes.
it really will take both.
Yeah,
And, it ain't gonna cost you anything to have a Facebook, or it just puts information.
Facebook's free.
Yeah,
And it's something that we can do ourselves.
absolutely.
The problem with the website, is we have to send the stuff to whoever we're paying, and they have to put it on, and if they're not, Johnny on the spot, it may get done, it may not, you may have to call 3 times, so we gotta, when we do get our webpage back up and going good, it needs to be where somebody in-house can control it.
Absolutely.
Well, and in the previous administration we had too, I was tasked one time of kind of doing a cost analysis. What it would cost to get a electronic billboard marquee sign. I got the cost of that, and it's gonna be a little bit of an expense. However, the city could capitalize on that too by making your money back by advertising.
no, you can't do that,
No, we
can't do that,
Really?
no.
can't.
No, we're not.
There's a marquee order already by the EDC, it's just they're having a problem getting parts in order to build the marquee signs, you understand?
You can't,
But we, the council already asked that question.
yeah,
The city park sign,
Yeah,
when I put that sign up, I got I actually built that. I actually, went down to the high school and got the arts people to do that.
well, there's an actual big.
he's talking about a marquee, an actual,
There's an actual electronic billboard marquee that's gonna replace that at some point.
it's like a TV, it's really a TV, it's a 4x8 TV.
We don't.
Oh,
Did-
I
yeah.
think-
Yeah, so we would love, that was my first idea, is let's advertise if it was legal, the schools would be doing it, trust me. Huh?
Advertising,
Yeah,
they do. Go to any football game, you'll see an advertising for people on the TV. Yeah.
on the marquees, there they came, but at the schools, you can't do that.
The one in Will Swamp, though.
And on the school, at the school,
No, on 80 and, whatever the heck that road is, that you turn off of.
but what we checked into is we can't do it because we're non-profit. We're not, we're not for profit. We can't charge money to advertise it. Now we can put stuff out there, do it for free, that the Joe Bob's is having an event next weekend or whatever, we can do that.
That was the answer we've gotten, it could be an incorrect answer, because.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
What'd you get?
I don't know, it's been a while back. No idea. Yeah, I don't remember.
Because go over to, Will Point, they're good.
I don't remember.
I think there's a difference between advertising and sponsorship.
Yes.
Good
It's
point.
100% to sponsorship.
Yeah, good point, yeah.
Back to your question on filing, the
Yeah.
deadline for filing for city council for these vacancies or for the places is August the 16th, Monday, August the 16th.
August the 16th. Well, I encourage anybody who wants to run to run. And I'm not against any of these people up here. I actually had that, by the way, I'm the one that runs the area news. But, I had somebody talk on the Facebook page about replacing these people or whatever, and then a whole bunch of them saying they're doing a really good job. And I said before, I want to see who's running before I make my decision. I ain't gonna just jump up and say these guys are the best ones when somebody good might come on. For example, if Donald Trump came along, these guys are out. I'm just saying, but anyway, I love what they're doing, and they're doing a really good job. This town, and I have to go back to the past, and I know you don't like for me to go back to the past, but the past in this town was basically beer, alcohol. That's what we made this town on. Beer and alcohol, that's it. And armadillo eggs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Strong number.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Anyway, I told them back then, eventually everybody's gonna be able to sell beer and alcohol. You need to start doing something to make this town grow. This town's gonna grow whether we want it to or not, people, because we live at a lake. And all the rich people love lake area. And they run out of stuff over and Ray Hubbard, they're coming this way now. We either work with it and try to plan it the way we want our town to be, or they'll just come over and steamroll us because they got the money. They can buy every damn thing we've got. And then all they have to do is vote their people they set up there, and boom, they run the town. But right now, we have an opportunity to run our town the way we want to run it. I think these guys right here are doing a really good job of that. I laid up in the hospital for 6 months here recently. The whole time I was in the hospital, I was watching Facebook, and I seen these guys working on this water problem y'all was having here. I didn't have that problem up there in Dallas, by the way. So they had it here. And I was watching them work on that, and they worked hard. And I congratulated every one of you, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And I'm more, y'all don't know who Ward is. I'm more like Ward on steroids. If you get me on your ass, I'm there. These guys right here know. When I walk into the room in a council meeting, people look at me. Uh-oh, what is he here for? It's always been that way. But I'm gonna tell you, these guys are doing a really good job. And right now, they got my vote. Until somebody else comes along better, or they get tired of running. But anyway, I apologize.
Thank you, Bill. No, we don't do that. But I guess you're joking, we do that. Yeah, well, what's Bill on? But it's more of a joking thing than anything else because.
Annette, am I right?
You're right.
Thank you. She's been here a long time.
I know.
I didn't recognize you this last
I
time.
know, right? I know. Yeah.
And Bill, we don't do that very often.
What?
So we don't hear that we are appreciated very often. So thank you for doing that.
Yes.
And because it takes 1,000 attaboys to make up for one negative.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And we are working so hard. You just do not know how grueling and demanding this job can be sometimes. And as a council member, you have to face a lot of adversity. You have to have a really thick skin to sit up here.
Oh, no.
And it's difficult, and sometimes we have to make really hard decisions, things that we don't want to, because a lot of you sitting here are our friends, and we don't want to hurt anyone, we don't want to penalize anyone, we don't want to make those hard decisions, but sometimes we have to.
Right.
Thank you for your words of encouragement.
Yes, thank you very much. We're citizens too. We live here too, and what decisions we make that affects you affects us. So it's not us against you, it's us with you. So that's why my phone is always open to anybody. I don't care who wants to call, when you want to call, just call me, and I don't mind talking to you. I'll come to your house, we'll meet, we'll do whatever. Yes, Dan?
Yeah, that brings up another issue about code enforcement. Who's in charge? What is getting done?
What'd you say?
We spoke back in January, about some issues in the Bella Vista neighborhood. We've had some abandoned vehicles there for 20+ years. We have unsafe structures, abandoned structures, we have, been moved in. Chief Kilpatrick went and tagged him, put a for sale sign on it. Sheep's gone, for sale sign's gone, chairs on the porch.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think we took the
I know
for sale
exactly
sign.
what you're talking about.
Multiple, written reports requesting action be done. Every year.
Yeah, you're asking a good point. I think Kevin's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a really good point, and I kind of spoke to this a while ago, and I didn't just divide it up into departments, but our city's had a lot of turnover, okay? And so right now, you've got, the mayor's been here for a year, and myself and Chris are gonna be the longest two council members. We're coming up on 2 years. And our turnover goes quite a bit further back than that. Chris, correct me, Mayor, anybody correct me, but our turnover started probably 4 years ago.
There, yes.
Okay, throughout the whole city. Now, what I'll tell you about turnover, because I've watched it as a manager, is turnover don't happen today. Turnover builds up, right? It builds up, it takes a while before somebody reaches that point. And 4 months ago, right around 4 months ago, our police department, public works department completely turned over, right? Now, public works is something a little bit different, more especially when you can bring somebody in that has connections within public works. So we're able to rebuild public works rather quickly. The police department and code enforcement, because the police department is going to be handling code enforcement. That's a lot different monster to tackle, because we have, it's called John T. Cole, what's it called? No, your T cops are letting people do now. Alright, so they're allowing people to do security differently than what they used to. So if you were to get online right now, like TML, that's what we list for our jobs, for city jobs, police jobs, whatever. You're getting online right now, you'll see every city that touches us has a posting right now for police officers or code enforcement. Because there's been a law passed that is allowing these people to go out and do the $45 to $75 an hour after hours stuff, security stuff. There's been a law passed that they don't have to keep up their policing like they used to. Used to, they had to have, I think, a full-time job or 40 hours, whatever it was. I guess the details don't matter, but it has created a situation for you to be able to hire qualified police officers, big time. It's created a big time situation. And the chief was talking to me this week, that he's like, man, I've been here for a while already. It seems like I haven't been able to hire anybody. And so it was kind of dang it, he was kind of telling me, without telling me, he was feeling bad about it. And guess what? We didn't ask this man to come in here and hire some quote unquote scrubs, right? We don't want somebody that just has a breath, a heartbeat. We want somebody to come in here and have a real police department. And citizens, I'm gonna tell you right now, that puts us in a situation, right? So to answer your question with a long answer as I just did, we don't have code enforcement at the moment. We're asking this man to take care of all of it. So it's small things, it's pointed things, we're trying. Hopefully, it doesn't get out there and everybody doesn't just do whatever they want to. And if they do, he's gonna get even busier. And I guess we'll have to start paying more salaries.
Yeah, they'll take reserves.
You might have to start working,
Yeah.
you might have to start working 24 hours a day. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
I was asking if he was doing reserve, if he was using reserve. Because it don't cost the city no money.
But again, well, yes, it does, if you're gonna get them today, because
Yeah.
guess what? Everybody's paying the reserves.
Yeah. everybody's good.
That's,
I know somebody that ain't got a job working as a police officer and she needs somebody to hold her license. She'll do it right now.
well, all they gotta do is come. all they
John
gotta do is
Holmes,
see
you
it.
call me, you got my number.
And so with him bringing that up, I mean, here's what you call networking. Anybody that knows anybody
Right.
that needs to reserve, please send them to talk to our chief.
Yeah.
But again, even a reserve, he's not just gonna take the breathing body. He wants somebody that will fit into his criteria. And, we just don't want anybody going out and being a liability for our city.
He's got higher expectations of that fast.
Yeah.
Dan also, just to kind of highlight off that, John here has quite a bit of experience, not just in law enforcement, but in code. He's dealt with a lot of code where he came from. He's gonna be able to, he has resources and he's gonna be able to use those once we get staffed. And all the officers will be trained in code enforcement and things like that. So what you're accustomed to in the past around here, as far as police enforcement, code enforcement, it will be no longer. Once he gets staffed, you're gonna have a completely different, department. I mean, one of the things that I talked to him about when we hired him, I want officers in neighborhoods stopping and talking to citizens. I want them stopping and talking and introducing themselves. When this happens, I'm gonna tell all the citizens that's what I expect. And if an officer drives by and doesn't stop, you don't think I'm not gonna get a phone call that says, hey, your officer drove by me, I waved at him, I wanted to talk to him, and he didn't stop. I can promise you, I'll get a phone call. So that was one of my expectations. And John's got some very, very high expectations. And he could have hired a couple of people already, but it's not worth it. I mean, they would be in and out the door
To
anyway.
make sure it's known though, this man pretty much single-handedly, with some help of the young lady beside you, has completely transformed our police department from scraping gunk off the floors, walls, painting walls, moving windows, going through evidence. I mean, so he's been working his tail off for the city. He transformed our police department from,
Orders to,
there's no reason, from a scale of 1 all the way to 10 now, in my opinion.
Well, my problem with code is the enforcement side.
yeah,
They go out, they tell somebody, cut your grass, move that vehicle, and they never show up.
That was passed, that will not be moving forward. Once we get this in effect, I promise you, it won't be.
They're going to have cheap in code enforcement.
right. And then
Unless you're trying to build a house,
Right.
then they're there every day.
that's been a pet peeve of mine for a long time. And, we, 2 or 3 years ago, we actually hired somebody, we sent them to school, but they ended up in an office position full time. Of course, I didn't agree with it, didn't like it. We spent a lot of money to train somebody, and we thought that was the answer. But that's been a priority of mine from day one. We just can't find anybody right now. And we want to mix it into the police department because a police officer holds a lot more weight than a code enforcement person that has a little badge on their belt or whatever. You know, somebody carrying a gun and a badge and all that speaks a whole lot louder than just somebody walking up.
Well, and our code enforcement officer will also enforce traffic laws because
Yeah.
it only makes sense if somebody's gonna leave City Hall to drive across the city to look at something code and somebody flies past them, why would the city not want that person to be utilized? I mean, it just makes perfect sense.
So,
Our police
Well, you have
department,
to have them, because in order to write a ticket, you have to be a police officer, right?
well, no,
No,
if you're a certified code enforcement officer, you can write a ticket.
yeah,
But again, back to what the mayor said, it is our belief that it will carry way more teeth than somebody walking up going, hey, I'm a code enforcement officer.
Well, we're gonna have to have a different reason, the fact that he can be able to carry a gun, because very shortly, we all will be able to carry a gun.
well, I'm talking about, to pull up in a police car with a gun and a badge, that carries more weight than just somebody, yeah, more weight than carry a gun.
Either way, it's all about the follow-up.
Yeah, it's all about the follow up. And I know exactly, I knew when that thing went in, the day it went in, and I was told, which in hindsight, it was all blabber. And I'm sorry to say that.
There's been no teeth.
No.
They're not made to move anything or
It
take
was-
anything out.
That was the individual that, and I'm not gonna mention names or anything like that, but we had an issue with that, with that individual. And it's by design that they're no longer here. And some of the turnover that he talked about, some of it has been by design, believe it or not. And sometimes it's best to, come in with new people, start on all anew. And basically today, and especially if we can leave it like this, except for Annette, I mean, she's the one that just keeps hanging on and hanging on. Everything's, we got all the council members, we got the police, we got the public works that knows what they're doing and they're how to spend money, now not to spend money. We've effectively rebuilt the city from the inside out, but it's a slow process. It doesn't happen. I've only been in office for 8 or 9 months. It doesn't happen fast. I need to be in here for a couple of terms in order to finish I've got experience at what I'm doing, not in the city, but in a multi-million-dollar business. I've got 20, 30 years experience in doing what I'm doing. So I know what's going on. It's just gonna take me a while. It's gonna take this council, all of us, a while to get done where we wanna be.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to add something to this. It has to do with code enforcement in a way. When we renewed our contract with our garbage disposal company, and we did that not long ago, they also upped our ability to, I guess, demolish or what have you.
Yeah.
On down buildings, homes, what have you. I think we upped it from 2 to 3. Is that what we did or?
I don't know what we were doing.
Was it 4? Okay.
Hey, one,
And-
one beside me.
It's
been like 15 years.
Yeah.
And what they'll do is, and you could probably explain it better, but they come in and demolish.
Yeah,
check it out?
what it is, we had a choice between 2 different companies that provide the same service, garbage service, with poly carts and all that. The company that we stuck with, Sanitation Solutions, which is one of the largest companies of their kind in the country, and there was another smaller, more regional type, Texas, just not a very big company.
They were out of time.
Out of Tyler, yeah, they were in competition. I think we ended up sticking with them. A lot of it, we just didn't want change. I mean, not that we don't want change, but when you're talking about changing, all of the houses, changing the play cards, changing the time of your traffic pickup, and all that, we just didn't want to go through it. But the company we stuck with has been offering to demolish at least 2 houses, so now we've upped it from start to finish. They bring out the equipment, they actually tear it down, they load it up on the dumpsters, and they haul it off for free. Free for the first 2 or 3 now. Oh, the very first one. It's, we had tip fee, which is just a few $100s.
And you gotta understand too, there are legalities to us doing that too.
Yeah,
We
there's,
have to
we
jump
can't,
into some channels.
yeah.
Demolished.
yeah, so, but yeah, we wanna get back to that point too, but
How
we
many
just,
have y'all demolished in the last couple of years?
one, I think.
Last couple of years,
Well, yeah, there's been, 2 years ago, we did the one by the chamber.
Well, no, y'all sitting here.
Oh, us, no, yes, we got nothing right, yes, I know, you're right.
Yes.
Yes, we're,
Jim,
oh,
I wanna add something to that, so we had the 2 companies bring in their contracts and sit in the chamber with us at the council. We went with the one that we've had for the longest time, one, because we didn't want change. But we did not just take their contract and say, okay, we made them negotiate their contract with us.
yeah,
We
yeah,
got more without paying more.
yeah, yeah.
So those are some of the things that we're sitting up here doing. We're not just saying, okay, to the old anymore. We actually sat there and negotiated their contract with them and made them give us more for the same amount.
Tell him what, tell him what.
This was
up to 2 scholarships
3 months
that
ago.
they give every year, from 500 to 750. They give 2 high school seniors that live in West Tawakoni, $500 scholarships. And they go up to 750. They also agreed to up their contribution to our library and to our fire department.
Yeah, they've upped everything.
Library was there.
Oh,
Yeah, we did, yeah.
and the contribution to the library.
Yeah, and then they increased the fire about 500 or something like that, which was huge. They did that like that. And we've been without a contract. We haven't been under contract with them in almost a year. So it's been a long time, and they just let us, they were real patient. They weren't trying to push their big brother thing down on us, saying we got out of contract and we're pulling out. There was nothing like that. They worked with us real well.
Mayor, real quick, I wanna make sure, with code enforcement, and this kind of piggybacks off, I think Robin or Chris said, it takes a village, and it does take a village, and this is where our volunteering stuff can come in, and you may not look at it as this way, but if you see something that you truly know is an issue in our community, go up to the city hall and say something to somebody, right? And if it's a code issue, at this moment right now, I'm gonna ask you to go to the police department. And John's probably gonna kick me later or hold me at gunpoint. But I'm gonna ask you to go to the police department and say, hey, John, could you go take a look at this? And he may not be able to make a big impact or difference today, tomorrow, the next day, whatever. But at least let's get it in somebody's sights, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it to John. What you're talking about, I'll get with John on that, but really what he's talking about, not this thing. He's not telling you to do for this one problem, but going forward.
Well, no,
Because I'm gonna deal with
what I'm
John.
asking our citizens to do is from be involved, because you may never know, you might want to be a part of this, right? You just don't know it yet. You might want to be a part of what's going on in some fashion, some way. And so rather than calling up and just saying something to somebody, because to be honest, when you make a phone call, somebody may just walk away later on and forget the message. But if you actually go up and you see somebody, there's a little bit of feeling there, right? That takes it to a different level of accountability. So if you went up and you seen the chief and said, hey, so-and-so, this address, I'd like you to take a look at it. The next time you see him, or you see that other person, it's gonna be hard for them to tell you, oh, I don't know. It's gonna be a little hard. Make it personal. Yes, ma'am.
Or just put in person real quick. So is Leanne the one that was trained?
Yes, ma'am.
She was trained, licensed.
Okay.
She was not only, no,
No, she's not.
she was trained as code compliance, and then she was trained code enforcement. The big difference is a badge and the ability to write citations.
Oh, she's having,
But-
she's still involved.
No, because she moved in, no, that, and I'm not gonna mention names, I ain't gonna bash anybody, but they ended up putting her in a role in the office and took her completely out of what we trained her to do. And we had high hopes. We thought this was the answer to going forward, and they ended up in an office position.
There's not a way to bring it back.
No,
The chief has a really good resource.
No.
So no worries there. What I'm gonna tell you is, his resource is the code enforcement person for, East Tawakoni at a part-time, and the full-time code enforcement for Siegel. Okay, so he has somebody that has all the knowledge needed.
I was just
In
thinking
order
to
to,
help for the paperwork and the admin stuff.
yeah, no, she left, and like I said, yeah, I'm gonna miss you names, it was during the past administration that they moved her from doing what we wanted her to do to doing things that we didn't need her to do. We could have got somebody
And
else.
right now, we need somebody to create the need for the paperwork and admin. Right, instead of doing it the other way, because we had plenty of the paperwork and admin side covered. We didn't have the boots on the ground. So that's what John's focus is, to get some boots on the ground. Him and I had a conversation with him. That is his first priority. Right, John, that was your first priority. I mean,
No.
you do need police officers, and this
No.
person will be a police
Yeah,
officer.
we need somebody who lives here, that has, that has this town.
No, that'll never happen.
Oh, hell.
Yeah,
I'll do
Not,
it anyway.
not a police officer.
Not a police, man, so that.
I heard about the drama, but from a citizen standpoint, she was lovely to work with.
I mean, I have no problem with
I was wondering if, separate from the past mayor's relationship with her, if she would willingly
So,
come forward.
it. No, she just left. We fine.
She went back to something she was very passionate
Okay.
Yeah, she went back to her
I don't know
long
if
ago.
this is what happened to that. Okay,
And she had gotten laid off where her career and came here,
yeah.
and then they actually hired her back, so she took the job.
Her.
She was good to work with, in both positions. She's very knowledgeable, she's very helpful.
Yes.
She did a lot for the city, so.
I didn't mean to get us off subject.
No, that's fine. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes, sir.
One quick thing, it's obviously not an issue right now, of summer time, but it's a few times during the years, and I'm kind of a neighbor in the neighborhood of Kevin over there, Clark Road.
Sorry to hear
Man, it comes in handy,
that.
guaranteed during the freeze. Everybody knew it happened was.
I know.
But from time to time during the rainy season, the culverts become an issue of drainage. And I know the city's busy and all that stuff. Is it within the legalities of it to make a donation, maybe call the fire department, have it come over and blow the culverts out?
Well, we have a machine.
I know, and then we call them and sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't.
Are you calling in a work order? Are you calling in a work order to the city? When you got into the city for a work order, guys, just FYI, we haven't talked about this. If you got a leak or something on your house you need public works with, you call into the city hall phone number, and as soon as the recording comes on, press number one, and that goes to the water clerk, which also does work orders. So if you have that, what was your name again, sir?
My name's Bob Hodges.
Bob Hodges, okay, I heard his name.
And I knew about the work orders and somebody told me here a while back, it had been months ago, that the machine was broken.
Well,
And that could have been 6 months ago.
during the freeze it was, because the tank, what it is, it's a huge water tank, and it blows that water up high pressure, and it froze up. So we needed it during that freeze for something that came up, but we made it without it. But yeah, that was the only thing that was broken.
Is it fixed now?
We've got one that's only 2 years old. It's a $60,000 machine. That works good, right? Oh, where'd Michael go? Oh, you got that, okay. We got a working machine.
And at certain times of the year, everybody probably knows what a stock culvert
Yeah.
I put it, my wife put it in the work order for our,
Yeah,
last week, get it blown out. But the fire department needs to blow them out there, so it's not strong.
okay. Well, I knew the city could, the last our machine was broke,
Yeah, they've got a house right there, and you know, like Tim said,
and that sucker works good, I seen.
What?
Farm staff.
Oh, then you.
Okay, guys, anybody, or somebody else, right here, you smell. One and four.
And is the chief considered the one?
Yes.
That's it.
We had
Long
anybody-
range of it.
Yes, ma'am.
I got one.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of talk about, the park,
What?
the park.
Oh, yeah.
You know, park.
I remember
They're not being taken care of the way it used to be taken care of, because we used to have Randy there,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And, I had brought up to you, I think, to check into the way the state park's being done over there.
Yeah.
And allow people to come in,
Come in and do, that's what
and then they work while they're there.
yeah, and that's what I'd like to get, I just haven't got to that point. I don't know where to solicit that.
Well, you
What we're talking about, guys, is years prior to, about 2 or 3 years ago, prior to that, we always had somebody either living at the park or we had a dedicated park host that worked part-time up until 2 or 3 years ago. And, what we would like to do would be ideal, would be allow somebody to stay at the park for free with their RV and maintain the mowing and the trash, moving the picnic tables, just keeping things up. We do have a better handle on it today than what we did as far as mowing and things like that. So when you go through the park now, whereas it used to be, we would let it, well, mainly because of the rain, if the grass would get too high for our liking, but you know, we couldn't mow it. You know, it made so much rain, but it does look better today than it has been. There's not as much trash as there used to be. And it really looked, I drove it twice yesterday, twice last night, twice yesterday, and it looked pretty good as far as the mowing, and trash and stuff like that.
So we are looking into that.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying it's not on my front burner, but it's there, you know. Yes, sir.
I know this is gonna start coming in, I have a personal issue with this already myself, but eventually, as the growth starts turning into, it's gonna become more of an issue, but I've tried to figure out what the ordinances are on bed and breakfasts in this town, because I've got a nuisance one right across the street from me that people have already admitted they don't pay, they didn't pay them paying their hotel occupancy taxes and stuff. What, we need to figure out what the rules are for that, because apparently it's not a state regulated thing, it's each town has their own thing. And I don't think we have nothing on it here, but having a bed and breakfast, which is a business, right in the middle of a subdivision, I don't.
Are you able to attend, Thursday at 6?
Six or 6:30.
I think it's 6. Look on the website. And the P and Z meets this coming Thursday.
Well, the P and Z, that's the problem there, the person that owns this bed and breakfast is on.
Oh. Well, that doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. I mean, that doesn't matter. When you're gonna be addressing it, who's gonna address the problem is the chairman of it. And I will talk to him, because I'm gonna meet with him this week too. And I'll bring that up, and I don't care if it's a personal thing, it doesn't matter if you've got property or not.
The chairman will be issue too, because he's threatened to sue me twice.
Well, we should be getting taxes from that anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be getting hotel taxes, yeah.
So if we're not,
Yeah.
that is a. big-
Yeah, and there is, I actually have a hotline number, for local government assistance, and another one called voluntary compliance. And this is with the state comptroller's office. I've got 2 numbers that I'll give you for them. I don't have them with me yet, I got them all. But anybody else?
I got one last.
Yes, sir, Bob.
On the line,
Yes, sir.
if any of y'all are talking to people at the new is it QT or what?
The Circle K?
Circle K?
Yes, sir.
you think about it, ask them if they're gonna put armadillo eggs on.
No.
They're not.
They're not.
No, I thought for another day, it's gonna be taco.
The only
Unless they
option
figure
right now
out
is to go to
how to make that-
Brookshire and get food involved.
Oh. Hey, I'm all about that one now.
And they're pretty good.
I love red soup.
Anybody else?
Hey, we're talking about red soup, right?
Huh? Oh. Anybody else got anything?
If you know of any businesses that are interested, please send them our way. We are always looking to increase our sales tax base. And I mean, we need businesses here. So please, if you know anyone that's interested, we have lots of opportunities. These buildings out here that are shut down and boarded up, they're not vacant. Those are opportunities.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I appreciate the time. We've been going at it a couple hours, it's kind of what we gave ourselves. If you got anything else, if you don't have a phone number, want it, please raise your hand. And, let me give you my phone number in case you need to contact me for anything future, you know, you're not getting. You can mail me a letter, a postcard or something. Wish you were here or something like that. Anybody else? All right, guys, we appreciate y'all coming out. I'd like to do this a little bit more often, more structured than what this was. We haven't talked to you in so long, openly, and being able to take questions and answers. We can't do this during a regular city council meeting, but because this is more of a town hall type meeting, we're not discussing business and making decisions like we do in a regular city council meeting. So therefore, we're able to talk like this. If we were actually taking an idea and discussing it and voting on it, we couldn't do it. At a regular council meeting, you got 3 minutes to speak your, whatever you want to bring up at a regular council meeting, but we can't respond to any question you ask, even is it day or night, I'm outside, we cannot answer with any answer whatsoever. We can only listen, we can take notes, and we can get with you after the meeting. If you've got, if you go to a meeting, you bring something up, we can talk, and I can talk with you, or any council member can talk with you about your subject after the meeting. But during the meeting, we are legally not allowed to converse back and forth. And that's part of the Open Meetings Act of the state of Texas. And that really, most all, that's Robert's rules too. So that's kind of the way it is in every city, in every municipality, in every government agency. And without that, guys, I appreciate everything. If anything in the future, you got my number, call me, text me, email me. However, I'm always available.
Thanks for taking your Saturday to do this.
Thank you for taking your time to come out.
Everybody really,